Hello friends, Dr. Nels here for the third part to this series on how do we replace ourselves, how do control freaks open their minds to letting go of some things, to replacing themselves at the end of the day, to produce these legacy multi-generational teams, businesses, farms, operations, whatever it might be. And so the first week we talked about the control freaks raising their lids, growing their teams, the detriments to control freaks. The second week, last week, we talked about how this cannot be a one-day event, how it needs to occur over time, intentional conversations, and we can dive deeper into that, but I'm not going to today. Today, as we think about where we're going for the future, not only us as the top leader, whoever it might be, raising your lid, letting go of some things to allow some people to have some decision making while you're still alive, lets them skid their knees, get some scars, but yet not be lethal. Defining roles, who does what, etc. Fast forwarding to the future, what are your core values? Because at the end of the day, as we're thinking about letting go of some things to replacing ourselves, raising our lids while we're doing this, there has to be some guiding principles for the organization, for the family, the team, the school, whatever it might be. And what are those core values? In other words, if you're watching this and you've been doing this for more than 1 decade or 2 decades, you've seen things change. Things change so that we have to change the processes that we may do on a daily basis to achieve our goals. Our processes today are likely not the same processes they were 10 years ago. I hope not 20 years ago. Some of your processes today are different than they were a year ago. But as we think about legacy, multi-generational, sustainable organizations, teams, families, etc., we have to embrace the fact that processes change, principles and values do not. So if you're the leader, you've grown up with a set of values in your head. If you don't have them written down as a set of core values, that's okay, but you can write them down. What are those principles and values that you will stand on come hell or high water? They may cost you money in a decision, they may help you, whatever it is, but what are the guiding principles that you live your life by that maybe your grandparents taught you or your parents taught you? What are those behaviors that no matter what happens, we are going to act and behave in this way to help us make decisions X, Y, and Z, while the processes may change to be current and sustainable for today? Because if you don't change your processes, you will go away. If you change your processes but have no values, you may wind up down a road doing some things that will take you towards lethal scenarios for the organization, the team, whatever. Values help us stay focused and everyone behaving according to the behavioral values and principles that the organization, the family, the team has, and everyone knows them, that no matter what the process is, no matter how the process changes, because they need to change if we're going to be sustainable, that everybody knows here's the values and we all have to live by those from top to bottom. For me, all the way down to the newest kennel staff person. For myself and Ty, down to the kennel staff person, and back up. And same thing for your organization. Everyone has to abide by them. And if someone can't abide by them, they've got to go away. And it's that simple. If you are thinking about or want to have a legacy, sustainable, multi-generation team, business, organization, family operation, these are 3 very important episodes to be thinking about. Raising your lid to lose your control freak ways so you can let go of some things so that one day transfer of leadership and decision-making power and control doesn't happen. And we do so through our guiding principles and values that we live by every day, and we reinforce them. They are non-negotiable. Everybody has to behave and act them out accordingly while we change the processes over time. And I hope that makes sense. And I hope that's helped. I delivered an hour-long talk on this, so this is snippets of that discussion. But I hope it stimulated you to think about these things if you're watching this. If you've got some questions, feel free to type them below. We'll answer them to the best of our ability. Cale, do you have any questions?
I do. So for the organization or leader that wants to establish core values, first part of the question is, do you need to have more than one person feeding into those ideas of what those core values are? And on top of that, is that a good way for a control freak to allow people into that inner circle to help create those core values long-term, for long-term sustainability?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. My always overarching answer to that question is yes. You need to have the entire team around us. Cale, when you're in the door, you see our core values. That, Cale, is some last year's notes on the wall to potential updates to our core values. And I wasn't quite sure on them, but that was through everyone's input here. It wasn't just mine. It was actually very little of mine. It was their input, because we reevaluate them. Actually, we've got one that we're probably going to plug in. We just got to figure out which one we're going to pull, and it's step up and say something. Everybody has the right to step up and say something if someone's not behaving accordingly, not doing their job. But yes, core values, don't do it like I did them to start with in 2000 and around 2008. I was driving home from Omaha, Nebraska, going down I-80, and I simply started looking at Bill Snyder's 16 Rules for Success, and I started writing down core values for AMC. At the time, I didn't know any better. I didn't know that I needed to include everyone, but I didn't have the leadership ability to do it. But it's not that hard. If someone had told me, I would have done that. I'm telling you, if you don't have core values, yes, include everyone in the decision making. I've walked 10, 15 plus organizations through this process, and it's very, very powerful. And when you can get the key leaders, it depends on the size, right? If there's, one was, they have over 160 people, so obviously we couldn't have everybody there, but we had, the 2 managing partners and the leaders. I've done it with just 2 people that have a business that small. But the more people you have involved, or at least the leaders, the more buy-in you will have. Yeah, don't do them alone, and appreciate what you're putting out on the control freak side. The control freaks, though, will not want to do that. They'll want to put them down and put their own down. Don't do that. Let your other people speak. Now, if you're the owner, the leader, you need to put yours down. What are the guiding principles that you've lived by in your life? And everybody can share values, and let's just get some on some paper. Start somewhere. Not having anything is the problem. Just start.
Something's better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can screw it up. I just told you I screwed up. I didn't include everybody, but it was a start, right? And from there, hone in on it. If you got questions, reach out. It's not rocket science. Don't make it rocket science. Really smart people, really analytical people want to make it rocket science, overanalyze it. Just put a few things down and start from there. So, we're glad you're here, friends. If you got any questions, comments below, we'd love to hear from you. Also, if you like this content, click subscribe now. We'd love to have you follow our lessons on life and leadership. Cheers, folks. Thanks.